Remember, guys, what happens off air stays off air. Oh, hey, we're live. How's it going, guys? I'd like to welcome you to Caliber Corner number 30.
That was very shot show of you.
Exactly. So today, guys, we are talking about buying military surplus firearms. We want to give you some sound advice for finding the best deal, picking out the best firearm, what to look for with specific models. Now, each of us has a little bit of experience either looking at or researching or even buying Milsurp firearms. And hopefully we can, again, give you the good advice you need to find a good deal, because even though Mosin prices continue to rise, we continue trying to find a good deal on one. So let's just do some attendance real quick and see who's here. Over on the gun channel side, we've got Scott over there. We got Tony there, Tony here, Jim there, Jim here. Patrick is over there right now. He just checked in on the gun channel side. Over here on the YouTube side, we got a pretty large crowd already. We got some Midnight Range TM over there. That's the other Travis. He's cooking up breakfast for all of us today. Grim is over there. He's posting pictures of pancakes. You're already making me hungry, buddy. Cyclicamp's over there. He's groaning. Gelsman's out there. What's going on, Gelsman? Welcome, buddy.
Cycle's groaning because he probably just woke up after.
Too early for me now. Wait a minute. He's 1 hour ahead of me right now. It's 9:03 East Coast time. I've been rolling straight here since 5:30 this morning. So
in his defense, he stayed up for the daily gun show.
All right. Okay.
You ain't been rolling in here.
Hey, I stayed up all night playing PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. So there you go. Jim is there here. Scott's out there. Sean is out there. Sean Newman. Man, we got a lot of people today. Backwoods 10101, Deuce Driver, 2 Live, Moo in the house, Patriot in the dark. All right, so let's go ahead and let the panel introduce themselves, and we'll get things rolling here. We'll try to keep this podcast concise to the point. And we'll get to the good info for you. So, Triple D, let's go and start with you. What's going on, buddy?
Good morning. Thanks for the invite. As I mentioned when we were off air, this isn't going to stay off air, but I'm not going to be in here very much. I have to head into work, and it's going to be a busy day, so I'm not even going to stay on the chat like I want to do and kind of pop in and out. But okay. I'll be here as long as I can this morning. One thing I did want to bounce off of everybody, and this is completely off topic for your discussion for the day, but I've kind of been kicking around the idea of changing my YouTube handle here. When I first started this and called myself Triple D, at that point I had no idea I'd ever actually be, on the panel or anything. Anybody would ever get to know who the heck I was. I was just going to make a couple comments on videos. And so I thought, well, what the heck, I'll just throw out the name of my other business and just call myself that. But I kind of want to differentiate myself from YouTube, from my DJ business, which is Triple D Sounds.
Yeah.
So I've kind of thinking about changing my name, and I just kind of curious to see what the feedback would be if everybody would, if that would mess too many people up that already know me as Triple D now. If I change myself to something like Sandhills Shooter, I kind of thought that name would work. Sandhills of Nebraska, where I came from. But I can't see the comments today if anybody's out there commenting. So if you guys if you want to comment, go ahead and comment on this video, the actual comments after the fact, not live. And then I'll go back and later on.
Yeah, that's not a problem. If you keep that thumbnail picture, a lot of people will immediately recognize that follow you. Plus, once you change it, maybe get some material up over on your YouTube channel, and you can announce in your channel, hey, formerly known as Triple D, this is my new YouTube name. I'm going to be going with this screen name from now on. If you go out there and kind of promote it a little bit, put it up on the Firearm Creators contact page on Facebook, put it up on gun channels, the whole community would know within a couple days that it's you. So you would have no trouble getting links and getting invites and commenting and stuff like that.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, man. You'll be good. You'll be good. All right. So thanks for joining us today, buddy. Appreciate it. Tony, what is new in your world, bud? What's going down?
Evidently, I need to apologize for the lack of an early watch yesterday. I believe Jimmy got kidnapped by aliens.
Well, he did not get kidnapped by Travi. I can tell you that right now. Jimmy's already down for Travi, so we have no reason to abduct him.
You actually did abduct him for testing purposes. Don't you remember? After that wicked.
I know. Was there no early watch yesterday? I guess I was so freaking busy I didn't even get a chance to join in. Because usually I join in during my playing time at work. So man, those muffins are talking to me. Cyclicamp, you going to share some of those muffins? Anyway, Tony, so
those are muffins, those are cookies.
Oh, I can't tell because it's so dark. You need to put a light on in there.
I didn't
Stop.
actually intend on having my camera on.
Stop
Tell me
riding
about that
my
old school
light.
mouse, though.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look at that. Yeah, look at
There's
that keyboard.
compact on it. You
That
don't see that
keyboard has
much
seen
anymore.
some programming. Look at that keyboard, man. I think it's awesome. Hey, where's your red stapler? Anyway, Tony. So are you guys going to be back on Monday then? Are you going to be back going on or what? I sent Jimmy an invite. Maybe he'll show up and then you can scorn him.
I hope so, but honestly I don't know what's going on with Jimmy.
Okay. Have you sent him any messages or texts or calls or anything like that? Also, dude, where are you at, bro?
Nah, I can't bother to do that.
No, you need to keep an eye on your kid, Tony. Keep an eye on your son. I'm telling you. So, all right. So anyway, you guys have a show called Early Watch. Typically, Tony, what time do you guys start with the Early Watch? It is an awesome program.
We're supposed to start at 9-ish Eastern time, 9:30, and we run until noon Eastern.
All right.
But of late, Jimmy's been having to take his wife to work, so we haven't been starting. But about an hour late. So
I understand. Okay.
I don't know.
Yes.
Jimmy's having issues. He's having to work and stuff like that. So.
All right. No problem, man. Well, it's just you get busy sometimes, and it's hard to find time to do stuff. I know I've been between the weather and just work. I've hardly had a chance to get out to the range. I'm going through some withdrawal right now, so well, we'll hopefully get you guys. Go ahead.
I'm actually considering heading there here shortly.
All right.
Because of the good weather this weekend?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 50 and sunny and not overly windy here today.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah, that's and for those of you that live in the cold states, 40 to 50, that's shooting weather right there. That's dang near shorts and t-shirt weather. So
you ain't kidding.
Get that snow to melt quickly. I love it, man. Once you get up above 20 or 30, it's like, hey, it's warm out. You take off your stocking cap, take off your gloves. All right, Tony. So thanks for being here, man. Okay, Squibby, do you have any shows you want to plug? Yeah, man. Squibby?
Yeah, Lock and Load Monday nights, 8 Eastern. Sometimes we start a little early because HVS can't tell time, like Jimmy, but in a different way. It's what time is it? Whatever time he's at the pool is what time it is. So I'm on that. And then Thursday nights at 9 Eastern, I do the Preppers Powwow. That's on Oiley's Humble Home channel. And it's we just talk about prepping and whatnot. Past 3 weeks, we haven't had a show because Oiley's been sick with the flu. But yeah, and then I pop in here and there where I can. Ellis has had me on his show a couple times, and last night I weaseled into Edge's chat. But those 2 shows in Caliber Corner are the 3 staples for me each week.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you joining us and getting up early and getting over here and coming with us. So
thanks for having me.
All right, so Jim, what is new in your world? How's things going down there in the good old state of Texas?
A little wet today.
Okay.
Other than that, all good.
Okay.
My range finally dried out enough this last week for me to go shoot. So
come on, just put the mucklucks on and just go sog through the.
I don't mind doing
land and yeah.
I don't mind doing that, but they won't have our league on a muddy Thursday or a rainy Thursday.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cool, man. We're gonna see a little more content on your channel. You got some videos in the works or any ideas you've been playing around with?
I've got some ideas. I just need to sit down and stop working long enough to do some editing and stuff.
Cool. Very cool. No, it takes time, man. It takes time. Just a lot of time. All right, cool. Thanks for joining us, man. Okay, joining us from the East Coast, we got Cyclicamp. What's going on, Cycle? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. A little early for me, but hey, that's life. No big deal. My latest project is this little guy. I'm fabricating a handguard for a 1891 Carcano long rifle.
Oh, awesome. Nice. And that's why you're going to be our resident. You and AWAG should be our resident experts on the Milsurps because, with age comes wisdom, and I'm sure you know a lot about the Milsurps, dude.
Well, I'm not as knowledgeable as most people think I am. I'm just a really good researcher. So, I'm happy to give it a whack.
Cool. No, that's what we need, man.
I've been hyping you up, man.
Go give it a little night wag. All right, so AWAG, what is going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Hiya. How you doing?
Hey, man. So you're excited about today's topic. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your channel? Because you've been very active the last couple of weeks over on YouTube and Gun Channel. So what's going down?
Well, I recently built a Bulgarian AK-74, and I'm all into those Eastern basically the warfighting guns. Your older Mosins, basically anything that stems from Soviet Russia, since the Soviets. So anything from all the way back to the early Mosins to the modern day AKMs.
Okay.
I do like a lot more of those modern Russian riflery that like the AN-94 and the AEK-971, but I can't get my hands on those, so I'm stuck with AK-74s.
Gotcha. And that's cool though. And that's cool. And, you know, the thing is, you've got a lot of experience with the part kits, and that was something that I never really even thought about when we were talking Milsurp. You know, whether the parts kits are new or they're refurbished or whatnot. So that'll be kind of an interesting discussion that we'll get to here. So to get this party going, first of all, I want to thank Nick C over there on the YouTube side. He's the one that made the suggestion. I don't know if it was in the comments or an email to have a discussion on Milsurps, because every week I always wonder what we're going to talk about. I never really know until later on in the week what we're going to do. But he made that suggestion, I think, last week. So thank you for that, for giving us the suggestion on that. And there's a comment that's already popped up over on the YouTube side. And what the person says is they want to get themselves an SKS. Like $400 to $500, I could just do another AK or AR instead. So what I want you to know right off the top, when it comes to getting Milsurp, if say Classic Firearms gets another Milsurp in stock, a new one, like a batch of something, hunt around, check prices a little bit. My advice to you is, do a little research on it. If it looks solid, buy it. And the reason why is because all I'm seeing in terms of Milsurp are prices that slowly start to creep up. Now, there's been some Milsurps and some police issue weapons that have kind of held steady price-wise, but just like Mosin's, eventually your supply is finite. It's gonna dwindle, and then the prices will start to rise. Okay, the Mosin prices continue to rise, right? So the first thing is just go get one. If it looks good, you've seen some good reviews on it. There's maybe some parts available for it that you can get them in good to very good condition. Just snag one, whether it's like a Star pistol or a Makarov or any kind of like a nice deal on a bolt-action rifle. Because, I remember the Mausers that Matt had featured on his channel last year, they were like $300 and now they're $400 or $500. So that's the first little bit. So, yeah, go ahead.
I want to step in on this Mauser thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this will go for Grands and other stuff. Please do not buy a Milsurp Mauser that's intact and sporterize the thing. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of those things out there that people have already cut up.
Yeah. Oh no, I hear you, dude. That's
historical guns.
Yeah.
And that is one of the reasons why finding intact Milsurp is getting so much more difficult. I recently took a couple of road trips down to Tennessee and Arkansas, and every place I stopped had military weapons, but every one of them was sporterized, and it's very difficult finding replacement furniture for a lot of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're wanting to build a rifle, there's many sporterized.
That's just it. That's case in point. I'm sitting on a Mauser that was a recovered firearm from the Battle of the Bulge, and the guy that I'm trying to help sell it for, nobody wants to pay what he wants for it. And I keep telling him, I'm like, look, if this thing had the original stock, if it had been intact, it'd be in a freaking museum. His grandpa actually brought it back from the battlefield. His grandpa was an engineer, and they would go out and recover vehicles and weapons after the battles were fought and bring them back to their camps and repair them to get them ready for the next battle in World War II. And a bunch of guys brought back a bunch of these Mausers, and the first thing they did when they got home was sporterize them, because they weren't thinking 50 years from now this is going to be worth thousands of dollars. They were thinking, hey, this will make a nice deer rifle when I get home. And it does kill the value. And the thing is, because of that, you're seeing the prices of a lot of really good intact rifles just kind of break the bank right now. So yeah.
The thing with the Mausers especially is that there's so many of them that have been sporterized. If you want to make one, buy a sporterized one, because likely you're going to replace the barrel anyway. So it doesn't matter what it is. All you're buying is the damned action to build on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
go ahead,
I'm
guys.
going to play devil's advocate a little bit here with sporterization. I had a Mosin that I bought. It was just it wasn't really historically significant, because I try to do all my research when I buy a firearm. Like, I look at all the marks, I look at everything. It was a Re-Arsenal 9130 that was made by Tula. It was made in 1943 which is their highest production year, which is 17 million guns in 1 year. So I'm sorry, 1.7 million, my bad. But still, that's a lot of guns in 1 year. And so what I did was I got one of those brass stacker, what are they? It basically, you just punch out the two rear sight pins, and then you put these longer threaded pins through, and you can put a rail on top of it, and I put a long eye relief scope on it. And I put some aluminum wedges in the receiver so it free floats the barrel, but I still kept the original stock and handguard up top. And it was a really fine shooter, except you really couldn't get many rounds through it because the barrels were so thin. And so I just made everything that I did when I did sporterize it. I made sure that everything was reversible. All you had to do was take off that top rail thingy and push the original pins back in, and you're set. I did stuff that you could easily reverse.
Yeah.
That isn't how the Mauser sporterizers thought at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hacked and poured things down and just killed their historical significance.
Yeah. And that's like with one of my friends.
And I get it, because that Mauser action is probably the best one ever made for bolt action.
Yeah.
I mean,
One of my friends has.
It's strong. It's reliable.
He has a Mauser that was manufactured in 1912, 1916, or it's one of those early 20th century guns. But it served through World War I and World War II or something. That's what he claimed it was. I forget what the actual manufacturer year was, but he had all the documentation for it. And it's missing the top the top wood handguard piece, but it's a Gewehr 98, and it has all the Nazi insignias on it, and it's got swastikas on it, and has the original bayonet, the scabbard, a bunch of other stuff. It's just missing that top wood piece and the front sight post. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I wanna do this, that, and the other thing. I wanna sporterize it." I'm like, "Please God, no, don't." I actually went to his house one time, and I think I insulted him a little bit, but I went there and I offered him like $3,000 for this rifle. I had $3,000 cash to buy that rifle, and he's just like, "No, it's this." So I just kind of stopped. So I really don't want him to sporterize it, but he just has that ideology in him, and I'm just like, please, for the love of God, do not.
If you're wanting to buy a cheap Milsurp to sporterize, you could look at one of the South American Mausers.
And
the
that's
action's
what I told
probably
him.
not finished quite as good,
Yeah, Argentina. Yeah.
but they're durable and tough. And as far as I know, all of the Mauser barrels and stuff like that will fit them.
Okay.
And you're not destroying a German Mauser, which is historically significant these days.
Yeah, which is the one that I'm sitting on right now, over in the black case off to my left. It's like, oh, jeez, dude. So before we go into like the individual models and stuff, Midnight Range made a really good suggestion. This is going to lead into the first point I want to make. Midnight Range said, check estate sales, because many times you can get good deals on guns, because a lot of times the families just want to move them out and just want to get rid of them. Estate sales are good places to go. Auctions can be so-so, can be hit or miss Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. But where would a person go? Where's the worst place to go to find a good deal on a Milsurp firearm? Let's just get this out. Where'd be the worst place you could go to get a good
gun
deal
store?
on a Milsurp?
A gun store is probably the worst place to find a deal.
No,
Okay.
no. I disagree with that somewhat.
Cash is
Yeah, I
king. You can
disagree with
negotiate
that
at a
too.
store, though.
Yes. My local is really good about dealing with you on stuff that they've got on hand. They're cheaper than I see online for the Mosin stuff. They even have a Argentine Mauser. They're full length, all intact. I'm assuming it's functional, but I haven't, checked to be sure that everything works. For $300. Your gun stores that are not mainstream would be a good place to look.
I don't know, Tony. Around here, I don't have that luxury. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy a Milsurp from a gun store if they had something I really wanted, but I've gotten better deals online or at the gun show than at the local FFLs. Most of them don't even carry Milsurps, but when they do, it's like, dude, this thing is like $100, $200 less on classic firearms. Well, pay the transfer fee, you know.
So now I think
have a point there.
I think you're getting into the reality of the situation, which is there are good gun stores and bad gun stores, and there's good gun shows and bad gun shows. I mean, if you go to specifically a gun show that's about old firearms, you're going to pay a premium, and that's just the way it is. So, however, a lot of times you go to a regular gun show and a guy drags along a couple of Milsurps he's got banging around in his closet, and he just wants to dump them. And same thing with a local gun store. I've got one local gun store who takes a lot of guns in trade in consignment. And I find consignment guns are your best bet because they're really willing to dicker.
That's a good point. That's a really good point, because it is getting hard to find a good deal. You can't negotiate with online prices most of the time. You can't really negotiate with Buds or Classic Firearms or any of these other big distributors. I mean, you got to go local. You got to be aggressive. You've got to have some cash on hand to negotiate. And I never thought about consignment. That's another one, because they can contact the owner and say, hey, I got a guy here who's $25 below what you're asking. You want to move it? They're selling it on consignment. It's probably for a reason. You know, they want to try to move it as quickly as they can, you know, versus putting an ad up online and meeting somebody to look at it and sell it. They just want to get it out there to a place where a lot of people are going to see it, possibly move it. So consignment's a really good idea. What other places can you go to find good deals? Because I'm having a hard time finding good prices on especially some of those standards that have been out for a while. Your Mosins, your Makarovs are kind of staying consistent price. But
something I want to get out there about my local gun store is they're fairly large volume for being in town, tucked away from any major highway or anything like that. They've got at least 3,000 guns on the floor.
Ooh, I want to come out to your gun store, Tony.
Heck yeah, let's road trip, man. Let's do this. You know, that kind of quantity, yeah.
I know there's a pile of a couple hundred Milsurp guns that aren't for sale yet, but one day I expect they will be.
Yeah, that's going to be insane. That's going to be the Barrett Jackson of gun sales when that sucker happens, man. It's yeah. We'll leave it at that. That'll be a whole other video series. But
gun channels community, because one day you're going to hear about something big happening from me. My wife's family has a family friend who's ailing in health and has had an FFL for years, and nobody knew what a stockpile was there. But nothing's going to happen, of course, while his health is still good. But one day, I expect that there's going to be something going on.
Well, if he has a Romanian PSL, can you keep me in the loop?
I think he's got 6 of them. 6 or 7.
Yeah, we haven't cataloged everything yet.
It's nuts. It's insane.
No, if you have 6 or 7, I want to buy all 6 of them.
You'll be sending the tractor trailer down to Classic Firearms, and then Ben will mark them all up, and then they'll have the online auction.
Oh, I can already see the commercial. Hey, everybody, Ben here. I got a great deal on some Romanian PSLs. We're asking $59.95. Yeah, I love Classic Firearms. I love watching the videos and stuff.
We're talking Mosins. We're talking SKS. We're talking Carcanos, we're talking SMLEs, we're talking shoot, what else is in there? I don't even know what all's in there. But these things in bulk, all of those. And then what else? There's a few things I'm not even sure what they are. There was one that was a French battle rifle, I think from World War I. French military rifle, never shot, only dropped once.
MAS 4956, baby, it's classic.
That's the one. See, I know nothing about Milsurp. Man, there's a pile of stuff, and hopefully it takes a long time before this gentleman is gone. Like I said, his health is improving, so hopefully he's around with us for quite a while. But yeah, sometime down the road, that's going to be huge.
I mean, I could see people coming from out of state to go make that purchase. You know, I could see to check this. I mean, these kinds of deals, you know, especially if you know that somebody's got 5 or 6 of this rifle or 10 or 12 of that rifle. Holy crap, you know.
Yeah. People are going to come think they can make a buck.
I bet there's more than 10 or 12 of these.
Oh yeah.
that pile.
So
They're not all
let's,
in good shape. Some
I'm
of them
actually
weren't stored very well, but they're all. I mean, I think all of it's just a little bit of surface rust, a little bit of surface gunk on the wood. I think that they would shine up like a new penny. All of these would.
Mhm.
I'm starting to think about looking for a Grand for myself.
That's okay. That's the point I want to lead into. Let's have a grand discussion here real quick. Is it even possible to find a good deal on one, and what can you expect to pay for a good condition Grand? And by the way, Matt's joining us. NEA's here. Matt, I actually see you popping in this time.
Yeah,
before we talk about the Grand, Matt, do you want to say anything about Milsurps at all? My advice was buy them as soon as they come out because they're not going to get any cheaper, or they're going to stay steady and then they're going to go up. What do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of, that's the thing about them. They don't go down in value ever. Because they're, by and large, none of them are, I mean, there may be surplus over them sitting somewhere, but by and large, they're, there's a finite amount of them. Eventually they go up in price. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it shoots up like those Nagant revolvers did. A couple years ago, they went from $99 to $350. You never can tell. I mean, 4 years ago, we were still buying, $99 to $150 Mosin Nagants, and now the cheapest you can find them is $250. So,
yep,
you never know.
They don't go down in value, but sometimes when the prices have been going up, steadily rising, and then a big batch of them get shipped into the country. So now you can go to your gun shows or online or to your FFL, and these newer ones are more affordable because they've gone down because of this new batch. But you can't count on there being another batch in 3 or 4 years.
I don't know.
Or 10 years.
Whenever Classic gets a crate of Mosins in, they don't lower the price. They don't go back to 175. They go
a crate of Mosin. I'm talking about a ship.
Well, they'll have 100 of them or 200.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Sometimes when there's new stock found somewhere in some warehouse.
Yeah.
Somewhere, and there's like 100,000 of them roll into the country or something like that, then you see prices come down. And I have a feeling that's what happened with those Star compact pistols, that BM model, is because before then they were hovering around $275 to $300, give or take, and then they probably found some new shipment got pulled in of thousands of these things, maybe even tens of thousands, who knows? Because it's not just them; it's AIM Surplus and JG Sales, and a bunch of people are selling these things for $199. So. There are those occasions where prices can come down, but it's temporary.
Yes, it's temporary, and if you can jump on it and save yourself some money, that's the time to buy. Otherwise, yeah, if you don't get it later on when you find it, you're going to be like, "Damn, how much?"
Yep.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Well, let's talk about the Grands then, because that's that's one that everybody always says they want to buy, and if you haven't bought one yet, they're getting harder to find, and What if you want to look for a Grand? What do you guys recommend? Can you find good deals? What can you expect to pay for a decent one these days? I know we got the
about
CMP. Okay, so we're sitting on about $1,000 for one. $1,000 for a Grand.
As cheap as $800 on occasion, but they're usually pretty rough.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, most people are going to want a service grade that's going to be in that price range because they're going to want to go out and shoot it. If you get one that is a limited type, like a sniper model or something with original scope and that sort of thing, not the replicas or any of that, then you're not going to want to scratch it. I mean, you're still going to want to shoot it, but those are the ones that are really expensive.
Yeah, Scott's commenting on the gun channel side. He's saying that J&G Sales is trying to sell an M1 Garand for $3,700. It's matching M1C or D with all matching parts.
If it's getting good enough shape, it's worth it. So
yeah, and as an investment point, it's not going to go down unless we get Garands coming in from a foreign country that have been locked up that we're finally getting back in our country. But
I think after the ones come in from South Korea, the only country left with them is Iran, and I don't think we're getting those.
Not unless we take over Iran and
Iran.
Yeah, an Iran Garand, orangutan. Okay, so so we got the idea about that. So if you're in the market for one of those, you look around. Okay, so $700-800. But if somebody's asking $1,500, it's non-parts matching, and you've got to go buy matching furniture forks. It's got all these different, pieces and parts on it. If you just want a shooter, you can get it for $700 or $800. Good. If you're more of the collector grade status, and again, as an investment point, I don't see those going down in price. But don't pay so much that you're never going to be able to make money off of it. If you want to sell it, don't price yourself out of the market or spend everything you have just to get that. You really got to watch out because, and again, the Mosin prices. You go to Gunbroker, Mosins are $349, $375. Snipers are $600 or $700 now, which is crazy. So let's do a little Mosin talk here. Those of you that have a Mosin gun, I've got one. Matt, you've got one or several. What do you guys look for when you're in the market for a Mosin? What specifically would you want to look
for?
Okay, let's just say you want to get a shooter, but you want one that's going to be somewhat accurate, in decent condition. What kind of caution areas are there for those rifles?
Well, here's the thing. Pretty much all Mosins are decently accurate. Now, don't expect to see like half minute shooting.
I say 3 to 4 inches
iron sights that are fatter than the freaking moon here. But
yeah.
I'm going out in my garage right now so I can get some prime examples of a shooter Mosin and something that you want to keep on a rack and not really touch.
Okay.
People need to have a realistic of accuracy too, because military rifles and expecting them to have half a minute accuracy is
especially World War II military rifles.
Yeah.
It was minute of man. It was minute of Nazi accuracy for the Russians. They just needed to tag one and they didn't care where,
unless it's a sniping rifle, the accuracy wasn't super fine.
Well, if you get an M39 or a K31, they're going to be more accurate than your standard Milsurp, though.
Exactly. And that's one of the Mosins that you don't necessarily want to touch. Because you could get them on Classic for like, what, $450 for a decent one?
I did.
Yeah, I did too.
More than one.
Are we? We're talking Mosins or are we talking Mausers?
No, the
Mosin,
M39.
the finish.
What they did was they captured the Mosin rifles and they kept the action, and then they redid the rest of it, and they are the most accurate Mosin rifles because the finish, they really tricked these things out. So.
Oh yeah, I even competed with my M39.
There's a video online of a guy in Boulder City, Nevada, doing a 900-yard shot with open sights.
Oh yeah, I've stretched mine out to 710 with iron sights, and that thing was smacking a man-sized steel target like it was nothing.
Okay, so when we're out looking for, Matt, back to you about that. What do you look for if you're ever looking in the market for Mosin? What kind of caution points are there for the Nagants?
Just in general, I mean, it's a boat anchor. I mean, it's a tank. It's not, you're there. There's no hidden things on a Mosin to look for. I've got to take this apart. You look at the bore, you look at the bolt. If the rifle looks to be in reasonably good condition and doesn't have, serious rust down the bore, and it's got good rifling and the bolt, you work the action and everything functions well, then it's going to be good to go. Even if it's ugly as sin and surface rust everywhere and cracked stock, whatever, it's going to shoot. There's not a lot to screw up on these things.
So, Matt, is it worth paying the premium? And I've got like whatever the last year for the hex receivers was. That's what I have. I've got a Tula. Is it really worth paying the premium for the hex versus the standard round receiver?
No, it's not. If you care about the collector stuff, then yeah. But other than that, if just a shooter, no.
Now, the only thing I will say is there is a very distinct difference. I've got a 1943 or 44 off to my left here. You're right. That thing, you can tell that they were in a hurry to put those out because the machining marks are very crude. It runs. It fires, but it looks like it was finished like.
There's a lot of those. Come about 1938, 39.
There's some panic in that.
See a lot of that. Where they're like, oh damn, we got a problem. They had some stuff to take care of. So
the 1920s ones tend to have a really nice finish on them, and they've got a little bit more. A little more. So in terms of it being, if you just want one to shoot, get one that's got a decent bore that's not all pitted out, that's got good rifling in it. The last question I got for you guys, I've always wondered about this. My 19, I don't know if I have 25 or 27. It is not counterbored, but it has strong lands and grooves. Does it matter if there's been counterboring that's taken place because they go back in and re-drill the rifling in it? And you can usually tell because I think the last inch is not rifled. That's how you can tell if your barrel's not been countered.
Okay.
Is the counterboring thing?
Let me give you the down low on counterboring.
Okay.
Basically, is here if I could just clean up. Over here, I will. I make sure that all my Mosins that I buy are not counterbored because I don't want to have something that's super altered. Now, when it comes to rifling, the first 4 inches of the chamber, the first 4 inches of rifling, and the last 2 inches of rifling are what take the most stress. everywhere in between is just highway, essentially. Where I don't know how well I can get this picture, but this is an X-Sniper. This is 9130. That's an X-Sniper. It has the what used to be the little rivet holes in it. And as you can see, hopefully if my phone can stop switching, it's pretty beat. I'm sorry about the mess over here. I gotta
Dude, you're a craftsman. You're a gun builder. We understand. It's all good, man.
Yeah.
Just hurry up and get your license so I can buy an AK-74. Okay.
This is really like beat up. You can see the gashes. I mean, I picked this up at a gun show for like a little under $300. So it's
but if it's an ex-sniper, you still have the value in it being an ex-sniper.
Yeah.
When it comes to, and that's another thing, the numbers matching, you got to watch out, because I've seen stamped numbers on the buttstock, on the magazine flap, on the receiver,
I can assure
and then
you
they've got
this
those
is numbers matching.
But then there's the electro pencil number matching, and I don't know if that was something that was done with the armory.
The electro pencil is what it had to have when it came into the country.
That's
it
interesting.
has to have when things are imported, they have to have basically numbers matching, and they have to make sure that the numbers are matching.
That's why you see all the Century shit always says CAI something if some numbers.
No, it's all stamped. Yeah,
they stamp all their shit. You know,
mine's marked like EI imports or something like that, or PR imports. They were the guys that brought them in, like maybe in the 90s or the early 2000s.
Yeah, well, back in the day, there was tons of importers. Now Century imports everything.
Does them all,
basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah,
but it used to be you could have 10 different Mosins, and they'd all have 10 different import marks on them.
Yeah.
Normally, what Mosins you can find now are Century Arms, or there's another one in. But mostly, your import marks are right on the barrel here. This is my M39 in the middle here. This is one that I had, the hand selected one. It's a Sacco. It's an M39. I love this rifle so much. I want to shoot it, but at the same time, I don't want to shoot it because the values have already gone up so much.
Weren't they what'd you say, $450, $500 in Classic had them for sale?
Yeah, I paid $448 for this one, and I can turn it around on Gunbroker for like $700 or $600.
Yeah, you just look. I mean, it doesn't take long to figure that out, because they're.
So my last one is this M44 that actually looked like my ex-sniper, but I cleaned it up. I tried rebluing things that I could. I worked the bolt a lot, and I basically
cleaned up nice.
So it's I say I did a pretty good job on it. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but toot toot.
Now let's talk about that real quick, because you always have the option for the hand grade, the hand select, and I'll go and read reviews on Classic Firearms, and guys will say, "Oh, I paid hand select, and it looks like it was run over by semi." Is it worth it to chance paying the extra $20 on hand select? Or Matt, do you ever get hand select on all those surplus pistols you bought?
Not a one.
No,
I will tell you,
it's not necessarily worth it.
Yeah. I've done it. It's hit or miss. Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock. Sometimes you get
East
something
Coast.
a little bit
That's
nicer.
$30.
Sometimes you get something a little bit nicer, and sometimes it's no. I've ordered both in the same shipment, and both rifles look the same. So
yeah. I'd say if you want to get a good selection, maybe buy one early. And another thing is when that military surplus gun shows up at the store, take some time and look it over. Can't you look at it before you accept ownership of it in case you need to send it back? So a lot of guys say, "Yeah, I got it."
Nope, you're stuck with it. You bought it online. You paid for it. That gun store isn't going to do anything for you other than charge you a transfer fee.
Yeah, but you could have it shipped back if you're not happy with it. You could pay
technically, and it just is a matter of who's going to accept it. I mean, some will, some won't.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to watch out for the.
If it says all sales are final, you can't. So just look for that.
Numbers matching is always a bonus, but again, all these little things. Whenever you buy a Mosin from just a big online gun store like that, it's just like playing the lottery. You don't know what you're going to get until you get it. Okay, so we covered the M1s, stuff to look out for in the M1s, the prices we've talked about, the Mosins. What would be the next one we should probably have a little chat on? We can talk about, there's some discussion on those.
Parts kits.
Oh, parts kits. Okay, that's another one that we never thought about. Okay, so AWAG, is it worth it to get the parts kit in if you know somebody builds you the firearm, or if you're capable of doing it, build it yourself? What would be the advantage of the parts kit versus buying something that's already made?
Well, with a parts kit, there's history there. There's even if it is a modern like early '90s Bulgarian AK-74 like the one that I built, there's still history there. There's you can see where they had, especially if you get a parts kit that is still demilled and hasn't been cleaned up. You have parts of the receiver that still have the original stampings on it. You have, I got the whole basic slab side of this AK that I bought. Here, I'll try to find it. And it has the 3 holes in it for the machine gun, because it was a machine gun. And of course I lost it. But regardless, there's still history there. It come from another country that's seen conflict. There's history there. Bulgaria was somewhat involved in the Crimea crisis.
Yeah.
Which happened recently, 2014. And the Russians had stuff there. There's all kinds of stuff. Now, we're probably not going to see any of those guns that were involved in that specific issue in history, because that was 2014 and Obama banned imports actually right after that.
Yeah.
Because of the whole issue. But other than that, you can get parts kits for like a set me that, like if you were to buy a set me parts kit, it would come demilled with all, like pretty much the whole receiver just cut, and you would still have all those, like the armor's stamps and stuff on it. There's all kinds of things. There's even guns that are in parts kits that you didn't even know existed. Like I didn't know that Yugoslavia actually made a Romanian PSL copy almost. It's the M76. It's basically a really long AK that's chambered in 8mm Mauser. And that thing is pretty sick. I might actually want to buy one of those parts kits and build one. But other than that, there's still technically surplus if they're coming in to the country, because these other countries don't have room for it.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now. Oh, go ahead, Tony.
Back to the Mosin thing for just a minute.
Sure.
Because I had a thought that just struck me. Why in the world, if you're just wanting a gun to shoot, would you pay $350 or so for a Mosin when you go buy a freaking Savage?
Because ammo is still cheap.
Yeah, $10 for 20 rounds. Not even $10 for 20 rounds at Walmart. Like $8.97, $9.97 for a box of 54. You might be sitting on a couple spam cans that you want to fire through.
Oh yeah, and you can pick up those spam cans pretty easily too. The gun show that I went to recently, they still had spam cans there for $125 a piece.
I've seen them at Bass Pro still.
Yeah. That's a good point, though, Tony. You might be buying that new bolt action rifle because you want a good hunting rifle. You might want to buy that Mosin just to have a Mosin, and you've never had one before, and you just want the experience of shooting it. And yeah, you're going to pay a comparable price. It's just like what you pay for a Garand versus buying an M1A SOCOM or a new M1A, right? I mean, we would never do that because we don't support Springfield Armory, but you're going to pay as much as you would for a surplus gun for a new one. So, why bother? I guess it's just to get one. Maybe from an investment standpoint, they're not going to go down in price. They will increase in value.
The thing with the Mosin is they became really popular because you could buy them for, $100, $150. So you could have a bunch of freaking guns for not a lot of money to hand out to people if the world went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, you buy them in the case.
Nowadays, when they're, they're bucks, it's starting to question the value if you're not a collector.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's another thing: is try not to have a stereotype per se when it comes to countries and surplus firearms, because to tell you the truth, I have a Norinco SKS here, and people are like, "Oh, Chinese stuff is so cheap," but I had a Yugoslavian SKS that was way rougher than this Chinese SKS that I have, and there it is. It's a paratrooper model, so it has the shortened barrel, 16 inches, and then it has the bayonet, the shortened bayonet. This thing is like tiny. Hold on, let me put this down for a second.
Well, I've always liked the Chinese SKS is better than the Yugos.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we need to get into
came
SKS.
with
We
the-
definitely need to get into SKS talk.
Yeah, the Yugos are always going to have better, nicer finish and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But as far as just a good serviceable rifle, the Chinese models are lighter, shorter, cheaper, easier to find. You know, if you aren't concerned with, well, how's the bluing on this gun, then just get a Chinese model. It's going to be better deal for you.
yeah.
Price wise though, what are we looking at in prices? Because what a Yugoslav SKS would cost you
Now,
500 delivered.
fuck,
Yeah.
you can't find. I can't find an SKS for under $400 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
and
any SKS.
I overpaid for my SKS. This paratrooper model. I paid $630 for it about two or 3 years ago, which was astronomical at the time. But I didn't know, so I was just like, "Ooh, an SKS, that's cool."
Yeah.
I got mine for a song, but it was I wish it had the original stock. It's got this polymer thing
What,
that
the Tapco ones?
I don't even think it's Tapco. I forget who makes it, but you can see them online. But I'd like to find me a good set of wooden stocks, even though they're not going to match serial numbers. All the other serial numbers match, but
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm checking Classic right now. If you want a Serbian Police SKS with the turn-in condition, good to very good, you're looking at $429, and that doesn't include shipping. It doesn't include an FFL transfer, so you could be potentially looking at another $50 to $60. And now you're going to be up in almost the $500 range just to get yourself into an SKS.
Here's one that's a little bit cheaper. This one's $399 on JG sales, and these are the cheapest ones I can find. This is a Chinese SKS. Like I said, which I'd rather have this than a Yugo anyway, because it's just shorter and lighter. Plus, I like the bayonets. And I like refinishing my guns anyway, so it'll come with a shitty wood stock and all that kind of stuff, and I'll have fun refinishing it and that kind of thing. But this one's $399, so, and that's obviously, that doesn't include anything. I don't know what their shipping is. I'd have to put it in my cart and see what they charge for this one, but certainly not free. So, you know, after you do that, let's say it's at least $20 to ship. You know, you're at $420 right there, and then you've got whatever your FFL is going to charge, you know, to get it to you. So, I mean, potentially $450 for this one, and that's the cheapest you can find right now.
I completely forgot that I still have the cleaning kit in this SKS.
Hey, there you go. And you know, that's the point right there, man, is they're not going to go down in price, especially the SKSs. If we've consistently seen them going up, you know, what, $50 every 2 years or so through. I mean, they're just like $400 now, whereas you might have been able to get them for $200 less than 10 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So the thing is, now when you're looking for one of those, any caution points on the SKS, Matt, that we need to know about when you're out looking for one? What need parts are obviously readily available to fix them. What are some things you need to watch for on these?
Okay, with SKSs, they're actually really pretty solid guns.
It's like
has
the Mosin.
its original stock and it has the original handguard. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I mean, it's like the Mosin. Check the bore, make sure it hasn't been shot out.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. It doesn't have you know, deep pitting anywhere in the barrel. You know, internally, even if that's on the outside, it doesn't matter. It's still going to shoot. But internally, you know, because a lot of these things, especially the Chinese ones, and I'll tell you that is one thing about them. They have a much higher likelihood of having been stored somewhere, you know,
in high humidity.
Yeah. So you have to check that. But other than that, I mean, even, you know, the biggest issue that SKSs have is slam firing. And that's not even an issue. That's just take your bolt apart and clean the thing, you know. Yeah. So you want to do that stuff when you get it. But that's, again, it's like a Mosin. I mean, these are damn near bomb-proof rifles. Even though these are semi-auto, it's a dirt simple design. It's really kind of hard to get a bad one.
Yeah, yeah.
It is kind of nice to get one that has the grenade launcher hardware intact.
Yeah.
Some of them pull the rear stop off and throw it, so they don't technically have grenade launchers on them because they're not functional. But it's nice to be able to get one that has all its parts intact.
Yeah.
And if you can get one with a sling with it and a cleaning kit and the buttstock, that's a little added bonus. Because this one actually has the original Chinese sling that is actually serialized to the gun, which is interesting.
Do you guys have any specific milsurps that you own that you want to talk about before we start to wrap up here? Anything in particular, like any certain models? Like I said, I wanted to cover the Garand. I wanted to talk about the Mosin, the SKS.
Well, let me talk about all the Mac guns, all the little 9mm Makarovs that are out there floating around. That's a
And those. I mean, I keep seeing from people that review them, and all I keep hearing from people on YouTube is that, man, I bought it. It looks like it's barely been shot, or it's been shot. You know, it might even come with a little logbook of the number of times it was actually fired. Some of them have had 20 rounds through them. So, you know, when you get those again, you're taking a chance, but still.
I do not own anything like that, but I want to reiterate on these collectible guns, especially like the Grand and the Mausers. Don't do anything to them. Don't reblue them. Don't refinish the stock. Everything you do like that hurts the value.
Well, I guess that's the difference between, are you getting it as an investment or are you getting it as a shooter?
Yeah.
Or are you getting it as a project? Most of the guns that I get as a project. I don't care about long-term value as much. First of all, I'm not doing anything irreparably to damage them. I might, you know, do the stock or something, but I'm not stripping them down and rebluing them or anything like that. You know, I'll take some oil and some quadruple aught steel wool and scrub off surface rust or something and clean them up real good. But I'm not altering them in a way where it's like, I'm not sporterizing old guns or anything like that. But then half of that, like I say, is I'm not really that concerned with, you know, how much is it going to be worth in 10 years? You know, it'll still be worth more than I paid for it no matter what. But if it's not worth quite as much because I refinished the stock, then, well, oh well, whatever, you know, because for me, I want it shootable, and I want something to, I love fixing up guns. I love playing around with them. That's just a hobby of mine. So I get more enjoyment out of that than whether or not I've knocked $200 off the price in 10 years.
Yeah, and that's what I do with AK parts kits. Is I love rebuilding them to see how they would look like in their original format. Now, obviously, I can't have the machine gun aspect of them, but I can get as close as I can.
Just to kind of give you guys a heads up on the SKS thing, Classic is selling the SKSs by the crate, and you can get them for only $399.90 each if you buy 10 at a time. So for $4,000, you can just get yourself a crate of 10 SKSs. Which,
there you go.
Hey, they look good. They come packed with all the accessories. They come packed with all the kits and blog books.
Look, man, if you're trying to outfit a militia, I'm not joking.
Or if you just want to put some money back for your kids' college fund in 10 years, you can sell them for $800.
There you go.
Case in point, check the price of a Mosin sniper on Classic Firearms. They're $800 to $900 now for a genuine Mosin sniper.
I had one that I mutilated. I had one. I had a PU. I had that model, and I've got videos on it. And I chopped the barrel and I bubbified the shit out of it. And I knew what it was when I did it. And I was like, I had people give me shit for it too. And I was like, I don't really care. So I made a little scout rifle out of it, and I ended up selling it. I think I ended up selling it for about $50 more than I had in it, because I did all this shit to it and chopped the barrel, and I had to take it to a gunsmith and have it recrowned, and then I bought I did all kinds of stuff to it, and so I think total I had $450 in it, and I sold it for $500 to some dude.
Dang.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about, well, if you want to outfit a militia, those parts kits are a pretty decent offer if you think about it. Normally, how much is Arsenal selling their AK-74s for?
$1,200. I just checked on J&G sales.
How much?
$1,200.
Oh yeah, I built well, not including prices of tooling and stuff. Yeah. But I built both of my AK-74s for well under $800.
Yeah, you can't. There's a Riley Defense makes one, but they're always sold out on Atlantic, and I don't even know if they still make them. I mean, what we need is somebody to step up and start making an AK-74. It would be cool if maybe PSA would come out with one, or somebody would could get a
I'd love to
one. I mean, anybody that can start making them, and because that's another rare one that a lot of guys. I'd add one to my collection just to have one. I mean, you can get domestic production ammo now too. It's not like you can't find the ammo.
Oh yeah. Well, try to stay away from Tula though, because I have bad experiences with that.
No, I think American Eagle makes it, if I'm not mistaken. It's readily, there's other companies that get 760.
Makes it.
Your 5.5. What is it? 545. Yeah. I'm all mixed up. Too many calibers going through my mind this morning. So, yeah. Okay. So now, last question I got for you. We're gonna have to wrap this one up within an hour. I apologize, guys. Matt, I know you do a lot of gun refinishing and you bought a lot of surplus guns. Recommendations for getting that Cosmoline off? What do we do?
Ooh,
now pistol versus
just
rifle.
let it sit outside in the heat.
Yeah, you can let it sit
Or
outside
buy a
the
heat
heat.
gun.
There's also you can get the what's that crap called? It's this
Simple green?
orange. Yeah, simple green will work. There's also this stuff you buy it over in the paint section, like at Walmart, and it's got this. It's this citrus mix.
Oh,
that,
Gugon? Not Gugon?
It's not Gugon, but it's similar to Gugon, except it's in a spray bottle, like a
Goof
Windex
off.
bottle.
Yeah,
Goof off, maybe that's what it is. I can't remember the name of it. I've got a bottle of it sitting around here somewhere. That works really well.
personally,
You know,
I would try to
soap and
if
water
you're
will work
single-
as long as you clean, you know, dry it off and oil it very quickly afterwards. You
Yeah.
use soap and water and just scrub the crap out of it. Sometimes you do get that Cosmoline that looks like it got baked on,
Yeah.
and it literally feels like you got to scrape it off because it's dried and gotten hard. That's when the Gugon stuff, whatever, it starts to work a little bit better. I've taken one, and it also works really well with stocks. If you want to refinish a stock, also, that's one of the things I'll use. I'll spray down the stock, and it really starts to pull, because a lot of the stuff that they used to use back to, you know, stain the stocks and condition the stocks, it's not the same stuff we do today. It never really dries. It just kind of soaks into the wood, and it's very oily. And you can actually pull that stuff out the same way you can remove Cosmoline if you do want to refinish a stock, and just spray all that stuff down, let it sit outside for a while. That stuff will eventually run off, and then just come back and clean it like you normally would with, you know, some solvent and just getting all the little bits and stuff. There's a lot of ways you can do it. So, I mean, again, you sit it out in the sun, let it get hot and start to melt off. I've seen people bake them in the oven to get that stuff off. But
With
you know,
I was
I was
going
going
to
to say,
wood.
bake it in the oven if you're single.
yeah,
You could probably use non-chlorinated brake cleaner.
yeah, that would get so anything that's, like I said, there's the two different levels of Cosmoline. There's the stuff that's still a little sticky and goopy, and then there's the dried on stuff that you almost have to scrape off. And depending on what you're going to probably be dealing with, a little bit of both, you know, depending on what rifle you get. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, get creative with it. I mean, it's you're not going to screw the thing up. You know what I mean? You'd have to be brake cleaner, fucking, just as long, you know, depending on what you want to do with the wood, you might want to take the stock off first before you try any of this stuff.
Yeah,
But
when it comes to wood, just try not to put any chemical cleaners on the wood, because it can actually warp the wood itself.
yeah,
And especially with soap and water, when you introduce water to wood, it swells. And if you don't have an even, like, it's minuscule, but
well,
if
it's
you
there,
have-
and it'll start to break down the surface fibers of the wood,
yeah,
making it
so-
easier making it harder for new finish to stick and harder for,
Yeah.
you know.
So if you're dealing with wood, just like what I did with my AK stock, is this thing was like caked with Cosmoline, and then it had the this like shellac cover on it. And like what I did was I just used a rough sandpaper, and I just went over it, and I used a heat gun, and whatever bubbled up, I just wiped off. I didn't get the heat gun too close to it, because you can actually burn the wood fibers as well, and that would break down the material of the stock as well. So I just kept on heating it up so that it would draw out most of the stuff, and I would take a rag that's soaked in boiled linseed oil, and I just go over that, and I just keep doing that for 10-20 minutes.
I know with the Mosin stocks, what I've heard before, and I don't know if this would be a good idea or not. A lot of guys say wrap it up in a towel, put it in a black garbage bag, and if you have a hot summer day where it's really up there, just set it out in the sun, out back in your yard, or set it someplace where it can just heat that sucker up, and then that stuff starts to leach out into the towel. Or put it in your trunk if you have a car trunk, and it's a really hot day. Wrap it up in towels, black garbage bag it, and then you can just wipe the stuff. It'll sweat it out.
If you can get away with it, put it in your windshield. If you can get away with that, but because the glass reflects right off. Reflects the light,
just sit
and
in
makes
a
it
hot
hotter.
car. I mean, the car itself is going to get, if it's a 190 degree day out, it's going to be 100 plus degrees in that vehicle.
Yeah,
or
just make sure you have a few little vent holes in it, just for the simple fact that there's still moisture in the air, and that could still affect how the wood is.
Yeah. Some guys are saying Cosmoline heat gun on low. Like I said, when I cleaned my Mosin up, I got myself a nice big tub, and I got a bunch of boiling water, and I soaked the parts in a tub of hot water with Simple Green, and then I was doing it very carefully. I was pouring boiling hot water down the barrel, over the parts. I mean, I was being very careful with it, and that took the crap right off of it. And then I dried it off and then quickly oiled it, CLB on it, and it's been fine ever since. But it will dry out once you do that. You take a towel to it, it's just like raw steel. You need to get that sucker. You need to start treating it or putting something on it quick. So don't just put it back, reassemble it, put it back in your safe. You know.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta wipe it down, oil all those parts up, and you gotta do it quick. Especially on those older rifles, they're so much more prone to rust because the finish on them is usually thinner. Plus, the finish that they used back then wasn't as good. So you don't want to create instant surface rust on that stuff. I'll tell you one thing I've used before, and just in a couple extreme situations where I had some stuff that just did not want to come off, is I've used that spray, that stuff that you spray it on and it foams up, the paint remover. The hard shit that'll just, I'm not talking paint thinner, paint remover, the stuff that foams up and bubbles and just eats paint away. Yeah. I've used that a couple of times. I don't recommend you use it if you can do it. If that's like last resort, you've got something that just will not come off. You can try that, and you just leave it sitting for 20 minutes and then come back, and it will usually just wipe right off with a paper towel. But
I used to
also very rough on your finish too, especially on those older guns where they almost slapped black paint on them half the time. You got to be careful. You got to be careful, but it is an option. It's a last resort option.
I think Valspar is a brand that sells that stuff, and it's paint and it will do what it says about paint.
Oh yeah, it'll strip off about anything.
Plastic parts and polymer parts too, man. Plastic grips and stuff like that. Get that stuff off your gun if you're going to be doing any kind of soaking or that stuff. You should be able to clean those up with just some Rem oil or some CLP or whatever. Because polymer, I'm looking at like break-free powder blast. So you want to spray that down your barrel. If you have anything plastic on the gun at all, that stuff can just melt it. So you need to be really careful with chemicals and polymer.
Another thing that you can resort to is automotive cleaners as well, since when it comes to guns with plastic parts on them that you can't necessarily remove, like your Glocks and this, that, and the other thing. I'm just going in general. But some of the cleaners are designed to not interfere with plastic parts. Like there's a cleaner that I use on my car that cleans up my clear coat really nicely, and it works perfectly as a bore cleaner. Oddly enough.
Well, if it takes out oil or residue and stuff like that, so cool. All right.
Back when I actually worked for a living, one of my favorite cleaners was a fast reducer or paint thinner. But you got to be careful with that kind of stuff because it absolutely will melt plastic.
Yeah. And you got to be careful with paint thinner just in general with the wood and all that kind of stuff too. Although it works great if you're just dealing with metal parts, if you're just cleaning up an old 1911. Paint thinner works really good as a solvent.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. So when you get that Milsurp that you paid double or triple what it was worth 5 years ago, you want to make sure you don't mess it up. So that's probably the key here. But make sure you get it cleaned up, and you want to clean it up too. Like any kind of Cosmoline, you got to get that cleaned off of it before you take it out, because once it heats up and bakes on, or you're going to start having function issues with the firearm. If you got a Mosin, you don't clean the bolt enough, it's going to start hanging up and it's going to start sticking, and that's not a fun situation to be in. So.
Something that people also overlook a lot and is really pretty safe to use is WD-40.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People just need to understand that it works really good to clean and to do some other stuff, and in a pinch it can help you with a sticky issue here and there, but it's not gun oil. That's the one thing.
Not a lubricant.
No.
Yeah, it has water in it. It will rust your shit if you just leave it on your guns all the time. I've known people that have used that as gun oil because they thought it was just oil. It's regular oil. And then they would look on the inside of their guns and then they've got rust. Well, I oiled it. Well, you didn't oil it. You used WD-40.
WD-40 is a moisture displacer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely one you got to watch out for. That'll work okay on stuff around the house, like squeaky joints or whatnot, but not for gun lubricant. I mean, for as inexpensive as gun lubricants are, there's really no reason to not have a good one around, especially if you're going to want to preserve your weapons and stuff. So,
WD-40 is a fairly decent solvent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it'll definitely work. It'll do the job. Cool, guys. Well, guys, we have hit an hour. I've got family that's going to be here shortly, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a little bit shorter discussion for today. Let's go ahead and see who is joining us out there on the Gun Channel side. We've got Scott over there and Squibby. You guys were here too. Patrick is out there over on the Gun Channel side. Jim, Tony, you guys are awesome. Over on the YouTube side, we got a ton of people joining in, man. We got Scott Pacini, Melvin Nutt, Brother Blacksmith, Sean Ponnery, Sean Newman, Storm and Norm's out there. Russ Carr saying some crazy stuff right now. Sorry, Russ, I'm married, bro. DF2 Dots out there. Philo joining us. Vandalistic Vlogs is joining us from Australia. Good to hear from you, buddy. He's a pretty cool dude. You need to check out his channel if you get a chance. Let's see who else is out there. It's pretty much the same usual suspects. Patriot in the Dark, and
how many people get up this early?
I don't know. Well, it's 1 a.m. over there for Vandal over there in Australia, and he's watching 109 in Brisbane. So yeah, we got 45 people that. Well, most of you guys probably go back to bed anyway after this. You go get some breakfast and you have a nap in the afternoon. So. But so anyway, thanks for joining us today. Let's let the panel go ahead and wrap up and say a few words, and then I think we'll go ahead and call it. So Triple D, thanks for joining us earlier, guys. Triple D will be changing his YouTube name, so be watching for that. And you'll be seeing him in our podcast, and he'll make that known. Hopefully, he uses the same thumbnail image, so we know that it's him. Tony, you got any final words at all before we go ahead and call it?
Hopefully, we'll be back on Monday morning with the early watch whenever the heck we get around to it.
Jimmy's going to get grounded, isn't he? Jimmy's in trouble.
I don't know. He's abducted by aliens or something.
He was not abducted by the Travi. Let's just get that out right now. So just want to make that known.
You say.
I'm not a member of the Anti-Travi League. I know.
And that's why you're being spared. So yeah.
I'm waiting for someone to claim the Travi anal probe to them.
Oh no, we don't go there. No, we don't go there.
I'm pretty sure you do. What about that? Yo, Travis, you remember that party that one time?
You know those little short guys with the black. You know those little short dudes with the big black eyes and the white with the no mouths. That crew, we don't hang with those guys. They're the ones that are into the whole testing and probing thing. We don't go there. No, it's not. That's not the Travi way. So
I think that's where Jimmy's at.
Oh man. All right. Let's see. Matt, you got anything you want to say before we call it?
Yes, I just want everybody to know I found the leader of the Travi. It is, in fact, George Soros. His birth name was Travis. I'm just throwing that out there. Other than that, no, I think we're good. We're just constantly trying to uncover the Travi conspiracy.
I've seen where Soros said that YouTube, or not YouTube, but Facebook and Google were going to go down.
He would know as the head Travi, the HTIC.
We have no association with that lunatic. So, yep. I did notice, Matt, when I was driving down in Texas, I did go through a couple towns that had a Travis Street, which I thought was pretty cool.
Well, then there's Travis County too.
Yeah. And I think there was a Travis that fought at the Alamo. Was Jim Travis or something like Bill Travis?
Might be.
Travis,
back a long ways.
First name
great,
Travis, middle name Travis.
Yeah, we're everywhere. Join us.
Nah.
So Matt, about your shows, in case we have any new watchers, what do you got, Matt? What's going on for your shows?
I'll be on tomorrow morning for the little Sunday morning podcasts, and then Mondays and Wednesdays as per usual, Monday and Wednesday nights.
Awesome. Also, a lot of us here have Patreon channels. Do check those out. There's some really cool content that we put out ahead of time before it goes to our regular channels. It kind of gives you some, not necessarily exclusive access, but early access to stuff, which is really cool. So it's always good to support on Patreon and help us keep our channels going. Jim, anything you want to say at all before we call it, buddy?
Not really. Thanks for the invite.
Cool, man. Appreciate you joining us on Saturday morning, and have yourself a good weekend. CycleCamp, what do you want to say, bud?
Not too much. If anybody knows where I can find a lower stock for a 1941 Carcano, I've been having a hell of a time trying to put my hands on one.
Okay.
And don't just send me a listing that says, "Oh yeah, these guys carry them," because almost all of them are out of stock. So if you know where there actually is one, I'd love to hear it, or even somebody that makes them.
This is a crazy question, but are there any wood craftsmen out there that could make you one? If you look at what an original is going to cost you, could you have somebody carve one for you? I know that's crazy, but there's people that make stuff out of wood.
Yeah,
anybody could get the specs and dimensions. I know it wouldn't be original, but it would work.
Yeah, that's the issue, is getting the dimensional drawings that you need. In fact, that's one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing right now. Sorry.
No, that's okay, bud.
I got this granddaddy. I got the 1891 Carcano long rifle, which is the great granddaddy, and this is a grip, a handguard that I'm actually making out of a handguard from a carbine. The carbine handguard turned out to be about that much longer and didn't have the cutouts for the flip down sights. And so since they were only like $17, I said, what the hell? And I ordered one, and this is my current project, is trying to make this work.
What model is it?
The one that I'm looking for the lower stock is the 1941, but it's the long rifle, not the carbine.
Oh, so it's not the M38. It's the
no.
Okay, because I can find stocks for the M38 and the M91.
Have you looked at numeric? Okay.
Oh yeah, I've looked at Numeric, Sarco Classic, Bob's Guns, Liberty Tree Collectors, Widener's, Apex Gun Parts, and Brownell so far, and I want to look at S Sporters because they're pretty good at that, but they're not back on the air until like February because they're on vacation.
I don't know if Boyd's does stocks for Milsurp stuff or not.
Well, if anybody knows anything, let CycleCamp know.
What is the M model specifically? Is it? You said it's not a 91. It's not a.
Well,
it's not a
they
41.
call it the 9141, right?
Okay.
So it's actually in 1941 as opposed to the 1891, but it's based on this.
Okay.
It's very similar, but yeah, so you had the 1891, and then you had a 1938, and then a 40, a short-lived 40, and then a 41. So those are the four main guns in that series.
Okay. Gotcha, man. Gotcha. So if anybody out there has any info, man, you guys can go ahead and send CycleCamp a message over there over on Gun Channels. You can definitely find him. So cool. All right, man. Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. AWAG, anything you want to say before we go?
If anybody has a place that I can pick up an M76 parts kit, a Yugoslavian M76 8mm Mauser, find a spot that can, I don't know, pick it up for under $800, shoot me an email or text me or send me smoke signals. I take either. Yeah, so other than that, check out my channel. You can check out my AK-74 build. I recently have a video up of me shooting it and has a problem. I did have a video up that explained the problem, but it was just me rambling on and on and on about something. So I took that down, and I will re-upload another one very soon.
Yeah, that's all I do in all my videos is ramble on and on and on, you know?
Yeah.
And okay, if anybody is looking for an AK-74, Jim here on the panel did share a link with me. LeeArmory.com does have one or does manufacture one. They're sold out, but they're $6.99. So that'd be something to definitely check out, see how they're manufactured, make sure it's not a cast trunnion, right?
No,
But
stay away from cast trunnions.
They're actually fairly
please stay
legit.
away
Lee Armory doesn't like any of that stuff. They try to build good stuff, and I've not owned one. I've thought about it, especially in the boat I find myself in right now. But they've been pretty well regarded based on the research I've done on them so far.
Okay, now this says ships mid-February of 2018, so they might be getting them back in stock pretty soon. So $6.99. I mean, unless somebody else just happens to announce one that they're going to start manufacturing at a lower price, that's not a bad deal. And I'm looking at the parts listing, and they do use quality parts on it. The trunnions, receiver, the bolt carrier group, the barrel.
Do they manufacture their receivers? And
it says it's a Morrissey receiver.
The receivers I'm not too worried about. I'm worried about now I know some of the US made stuff that's not cast is good. Sharp Bros makes a forged trunnion, which I actually adore if I were to actually build a regular AKM.
Yeah.
But other than that, if it shows that it's a US made trunnion and it doesn't say forged on it, I would be curious.
Okay.
It's Hungarian or Polish or the like. That's what they use.
Cool. So yeah, if anybody out there, since we had a little bit of AK talk if you're maybe thinking about building one, or you maybe put the idea in your head to want to go ahead and get one. So
yeah, if you're thinking about if you want to build one, I'd check out my channel to actually see the whole process. Now, granted, my camera work is not the best in the world, so please bear with me. But if you think it's too much of a hassle, because if you were to build one, just this one AK probably cost me, with tooling and everything, probably around $2,000, which is a lot for an AK.
Mm-hmm. But now you can make them for 8.
Yeah, I could make them for around 8.
There you go. Cool. So like I said, hopefully you can start to get that venture up and running. That'd be cool. And hook up with Night Strike, and he can get his stuff going. And
Night Wagon
Rifle Works. I'm telling you, it's ready to go. I take my wallet, man. Take my wallet. Take my money. So anyway, guys, this was Caliber Corner number 30. Hopefully we gave you some sound advice for picking out a good Milsurp Plus firearm, whether it's a pistol, rifle, etc. How to take care of them, how to clean them, stuff to look out for. Last thing I will say, there's one thing I wanted to mention. There's a really good website called 7.62x54r.net. You go there, if you get yourself a Mosin, you can look up your gun and find out basically specifically the lineage and the history behind it. And don't be surprised if you don't have, that jackpot winner valuable Mosin. But it is pretty interesting. And you have that website on your phone if you're looking at them, say at a gun store or at a gun show. You simply look at that. You look at you measure the size of it. You look at the type of receiver that it has and so on, and you can basically narrow it down to specifically and the year of production, the company that made it, whether it was Tula or Ishmesh. And you can look up the specifics on your Mosin. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I did that on mine. You can find out if you got an extra goon or something like that, which is pretty cool. So otherwise, guys, I think that's it. Thank you for joining us over on the Gun Channel side. A lot of you guys that were there were here. And again, get on over to gunchannels.com, sign up, get an account. It's free. We've got a 24/7 gun chat going on over there. There's a live lobby you can jump into, live chat lobby. If you want information about buying Milsurp, that would be the place to go to post a question. You're going to get good people that have good answers for you over there. But otherwise, it's a lot of fun. It's a great place to be. So definitely get over there. So meantime, guys, this was Caliber Corner number 30. Thanks for joining us today. Hopefully we'll be back next Saturday with another topic to talk about. And thanks for hanging out, guys. And all you that joined us on the YouTube side, thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon. Yo, what's that, Tony?
Good day.
Later. Hey, have a good day. Have a great weekend. Get some breakfast. Go back to bed. There you go. All right.
Bye,
later.
Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.